right, so we're going to go over the stations that we did today in class. Note station 1. This week, Michael practiced the piano 4 and 7/12 hours. If he continues to practice this long each week, how many hours will he have practiced in 6 weeks? All right, so I'm going to first take 4 and 7/12, multiply it by 6 because there's 6 weeks. All right, so my first step is to change 4 and 7/12 to an improper fraction. So 4 times 12 is 48, plus 7 is 55. So I have 55/12 times, and I'm changing the 6 to be a whole number. Oh, I'm sorry, just changing the 6 to be a fraction and putting it over 1. I can cross reduce the 6 and the 12 because they share a common factor of 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 55 times 1 is 55. 2 times 1 is 2. And then I'm going to divide it out. So 55 divided by 2. 2 goes into 5 2 times with 1 left over. Bring down your 5. 2 goes into 15 7 times with 1 left over. So my answer is 27.5 hours. All right. Number 2, Elizabeth is baking cookies. She has 29 cups of flour in her pantry. If each batch of cookies uses 5.8 cups of flour, how many batches of cookies can she make? All right, so I'm going to be dividing 5 and 8/10 by 29. I'm sorry, 29 by 5 and 8/10. All right, so I'm going to first move my decimal on the outside, move it 1 time, which I also have to do under the division symbol. Add a 0 and bring the decimal up. It just so happens that this is an even number because 8 times 5 is 40, 5 times 5 is 25, plus 4 is 29. So my answer here is a nice round 5. So your answer is 5 batches. Number 3, Tom lives 1 7/8 miles from school and Fred lives a half mile further from school than Tom. How far from school does Fred live? This is an addition problem, guys. 1 7/8 plus 1/2. First step is to find a common denominator, which in this case is 8. 1/2. 2 times 2 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2, so that's 4/8. 7/8 plus 4/8 is 11/8, and you still have your 1. There is a hole there because of this improper fraction. So 8 goes into 11 1 time with 3 left over. So there's a hole here and a hole here, which would be 2, and 3/8 left over. Catherine has a piece of wood that is 7 1/5 feet long. If she wants to cut the table into 6 equal pieces, how big would each piece be? You're going to take the whole and you're dividing it into 6 equal parts. So it's divided by 6. Your first step is to change that mixed number into an improper fraction. So if that's, 7 times 5 is 35 plus 1 is 36, divided by 6 over 1. Now I'm going to keep it, change it, flip it. The first fraction stays the same. Change division to multiplication, flip the second fraction. I can cross reduce. 6 and 36 share a common factor of 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 36 divided by 6 is 6. Now I have 6/5 times 1, which is 6/5. If I have to change this to a mixed number, 5 goes into 6 1 time with 1 left over. So my answer is 1 1/5. Lisa used 1 3/4 cups of sugar in making a chocolate cake. How much sugar will she need for 8 cakes? This is multiplication. 1 3/4 times 8. I'm going to change my 1 3/4 to a mixed number. An improper fraction. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7. I can cross reduce. 4 and 8 share a common factor of 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 7 times 2 is 14. 1 times 1 is 1. Any whole number, any number over 1 is itself. So my answer is 14 cups. All right, this one gave some of y'all fits today. A large machine at Eddie's Earbud Factory can construct 7 3/8 earbuds in a minute. A small machine constructs half as many. You have to figure out how much a small machine makes, right? So I'm going to take 7 3/8 and divide it by 2 because I'm cutting it in half. All right, 8 times 7 is 56 plus 3 is 59. Divided by 2 over 1. Keep it, change it, flip it. Now, this, you cannot cross reduce here, so it would be 59 over 16. And 16 goes in 59 3 times. 16 times 3 is 48. I know I'm running out of room here. Let me. All right. So I'm going to subtract out 48, and I have 11. So the small machine constructs 3 and 11/16. All right. He has one small machine and 2 big machines, which make 7 3/8 earbuds. All right. So first I'm going to combine these two. So I have 3 and 11/16 plus 3 plus 3 is 6. 7 plus 7 is 14. All right, now I've got to find a common denominator between these two. So I have 14 and 6/8 plus 3 and 11/16. Common denominator is 16. So 8 times 2 is 16. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 3 and 11/16. When I add that together, I get 23/16. And 14 plus 3 is 17. 16 goes into 23 one time with 7 left over. So I have 18 and 7/16. If a bookshelf is 24 1/2 inches long, how many 2 4/7 inch thick books will it hold? So I'm going to be dividing here. I'm taking a whole and dividing it into parts. I'm going to first change these mixed numbers to improper fractions. So I start with 24 times 2, which is 48, plus 1 is 49. 7 times 4 is 14, plus 4 is 18. Now I keep it, change it, flip it. All right. We cannot cross reduce here, so I'm going to multiply 49 times 7. 7 times 49 is 63. 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 6 is 34. So I have 343 over 18 times 2, which is 36. I'm going to change this to an improper fraction to a mixed number. So I know that 36 times 10 is 360, so I'm going to go one less to see if it works. 36 times 9 is 54. 27 plus 5 is 32. So it's 9 wholes with some fractional amount left, right? So I'm going to say, if there's a remainder, that's not a whole book. Okay? So there's 1936 left over, but how many books will it hold? The answer is 9. The fraction part doesn't matter. They want to know how many books. All right. Mrs. Wanzo wants to make brownies for her son's birthday party. The recipe calls for 2 2/3 cups of chocolate chips for each batch. If she wants to make 2 1/2 batches, how many cups will she need? This is multiplication. 2 2/3 times 2 1/2. Change them to improper fractions. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. I can cross reduce here. 2 goes into 2 once. It goes into 8 4 times. Now I'm going to multiply. 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 goes into 26 times with 2 left over. So your answer is 2 2/3 cups. I'm sorry, 6 2/3 cups. All right, Aaron traveled 87.3 miles, or 87 3/10 miles in 2.5 hours. Find the speed at which he traveled if his speed stayed the same without stopping. This is a division problem. 87.3 is how far he traveled in 2.5 hours. I've got to move my decimal once on the outside. Whatever I move it outside, I have to move it to the inside. 25 goes in 87 3 times. This should be easy if you guys think about quarters. 25 goes into 123 4 times. 4 quarters is $1, 100 cents. And I have 23 25ths left over. Oh, no. I'm not going to do that. We're not in fractions. We're using decimals. Hello, Miss Watkins. All right, so I'm going to add a 0 and bring it down. All right, 25 goes into 239 times. 9 times 25 is 225, which will leave me 5 left over. And another 0. 25 goes into 52 times. And it's 50, subtract nothing. So your answer is 34.92 miles per hour. 10. There were 5 cups of strawberries in a large bowl on the table. After school, Jamie ate 3/4 of them. Of is signifying multiplication. So I take 5 times 3/4. 5 over 1 times 3 over 4. 5 times 3 is 15 over 4. 4 goes into 15 3 times with 3 left over. 3 3/4 is what's left. An airplane travels at a speed of 170 miles an hour at an altitude of 7,000 feet. If the plane is flying for 2 1/5 hours, how far did it travel? All right, this is another one where they throw in altitude to mess you up. 175 miles for 2 1/5 hours. I'm going to change these to fractions. 175 over 1 times 11 over 5. I can cross reduce. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 175. 35 times, so this changes to 35. So I know it's going to be a whole number because 1 times 1 is 1 on the bottom. Now I do 35 times 11, which is 35, 5, 3, 385. So your answer is 385 miles. Number 12, last one. Nancy has a square patio with sides of 2 6/10 feet. A square is called a square because all the sides are equal on the square. So if she has a square with sides of 12 6/10 feet, all of them have sides of 12 6/10 feet. She's planting a line of rose bushes along 3 of the edges. How long will her line of rose bushes be? So you're going to take 12 6/10 times 3. You've got 18, 7, 3, decimal place. 1 behind the decimal, so you move 1 over. So you get 37 8/10.